Hey, sports card fans, it's John Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. The 1954 Dan-Dee baseball set is one of the few oddball issues to gain a mainstream hobby following. Led by an extremely popular early Mickey Mantle card, the condition-sensitive product remains a favorite with vintage collectors. It is worth noting that the vintage set had regional distribution, believed to be primarily in parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania. When collectors think of cards and consumables, they usually think of bubble gum and tobacco. But the 1954 Dan-Dee baseball cards came packaged with potato chips, oily, rough potato chips. As a result, not many cards survived in stellar condition. Instead, they're often saturated with grease, leaving lots of stains and blotching. The checklist consists of 29 unnumbered cards. While the Mantle is far and away the most popular card in the set, he is joined by several Hall of Famers, including Duke Snider, Bob Feller, and Gil Hodges. The set also has a pair of short prints, Walker Cooper and Paul Smith, that command higher prices than their names might suggest. 1954 Dan-Dee cards have a simple design with posed player portraits. Most are basic headshots with a plain background. The player's name is at the bottom of the card inside a white rectangular nameplate. Some, but not all, also have a facsimile signature underneath the player's name. The cards measure 2.5 by 3 5/8 inches, which is a little smaller than Topps cards from the same time period. The entire series was later reprinted with black and white backs. In this video, I'm going to show the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1954 Dan-Dee set based on their PSA 5 values. I'll also give the values of those cards in higher grades, as well as the population count of those grades. As a side note, because most of the cards have very low population counts, the values in some grades might not reflect current prices, since it may be a year or two or even more since a copy in that grade has been sold. Now, before I get to the top 10, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, the Paul Smith short print card. At number 14, the Frankie Thomas card. At number 13, the Al Lopez card. At number 12, the Kurt Roberts card. And at number 11, the Red Shandy's card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. At number 10, we have the Monty Irvin card. In a PSA 5, there have been 25 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $125. There have been 29 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $118. There have been 24 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $331. There have only been 5 graded a PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in September of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $1,380. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Monty Irvin card. At number 9, we have the Hank Bauer card. In a PSA 5, there have been 31 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $138. There have been 20 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $215. There have been 16 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $156. There have been 8 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $192. There have been 5 graded a PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale, though, recorded in VCP's database took place in September of 2019 through a PWCC listing on eBay and sold for $939, placing the Hank Bauer at the number 5 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this top 10 list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Hank Bauer card. At number 8, we have the Luke Easter card. In a PSA 5, there have been 26 graded copies with the current VCP average price of $150. There have been 14 graded APSA 6. They sell for around $125. There have been 21 graded APSA 7. They sell for around $76. There have been 14 graded APSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in February of 2022 through eBay and sold for $450. Now, there has been one graded APSA 9, although there have been no reported PSA 9 sales in VCP's database. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Luke Easter card. At number 7, we have the Gil Hodges card. In a PSA 5, there have been 26 graded copies with the current VCP average price of $213. There have been 22 graded APSA 6. They sell for around $169. There have been 21 graded APSA 7. They sell for around $482. There have been 14 graded APSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in June of 2022 through eBay and sold for $1,010. Now, there have been 3 graded APSA 9, but just like the last card, there have been no reported PSA 9 sales in VCP's database, and there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Gil Hodges card. At number 6, we have the Larry Doby card. In a PSA 5, there have been 14 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $280. There have been 20 graded APSA 6. They sell for around $290. There have been 20 graded APSA 7. They sell for around $480. There have been 11 graded APSA 8. They sell for around $1,200. And there have been 3 graded APSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in July of 2018 through Heritage and sold for $3,360, placing the Larry Doby at the number 3 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Larry Doby card. At number 5, we have the Phil Rizzuto card. In a PSA 5, there have been 25 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $280. There have been 25 graded APSA 6. They sell for around $390. There have been 29 graded APSA 7. They sell for around $211. There have been 8 graded APSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in September of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $810. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Phil Rizzuto card. At number 4, we have the Duke Snider card. In a PSA 5, there have been 29 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $300. There have been 32 graded APSA 6. They sell for around $457. There have been 18 graded APSA 7. They sell for around $570. There have been 17 graded APSA 8. They sell for around $2,160. There have been 7 graded APSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place in March of 2019 through a PWCC listing on eBay and sold for $1,658, placing the Duke Snider at the number 4 spot as well in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Duke Snider card. At number 3, we have the Walker Cooper short print card. In a PSA 5, there have only been 13 graded copies. Now, the current VCP average price for a PSA 5 is $325, although the last sale was in July of 2017 through eBay. There have been 11 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $153. There have been 18 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $400. There have been 11 graded a PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale took place in May of 2022 through eBay and sold for $950. Now, there has been one graded a PSA 9, but there have been no reported PSA 9 sales in VCP's database. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Walker Cooper short print card. At number 2, we have the Bob Feller card. In the PSA 5, there have been 20 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $355. There have been 22 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $438. There have been 23 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $739. There have been 14 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $480. There had been 6 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place in January of 2023 through Memory Lane and sold for $3,674, placing the Bob Feller at the number 2 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Bob Feller card. And of course, at number 1, it is the Mickey Mantle card. In the PSA 5, there have been 67 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $5,338. There have been 52 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $5,640. There have been 34 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $10,500. There have been 28 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $19,500. And there have been 6 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale took place in July of 2018 through Heritage and sold for $24,000, placing the Mickey Mantle also at the number 1 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And just like all the others on this top 10 list, there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Mickey Mantle card. Well, there you go, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1954 Dan-Dee set. As always, would love to know what you think about the set in general and the cards that made the top 10 list. And make sure you check next week's episode when I finally get into reviewing pre-war cards, starting with the 1939 Play Ball set. And if you've missed either of the last 2 videos in this series, you can check them out right here. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.